Hey, welcome back to another episode of Simple Truth Television. Today is May 17th, 2021. I was just doing a live stream and for some reason I was just disconnected. So I guess I have to do everything over that I was talking about. So man, these things only happen when I go live. I mean, I use the internet all day, every single day, but I only have these issues when I'm doing a live stream. Unbelievable. So damn. I was almost done with my presentation. That's unbelievable. So 4 days ago, I made a video saying that I thought the Lakers were going to finish 42-30 for the season. And in that video, I also talked about how the Nets could possibly win their last 3 games and get to 48 wins for the season. And that's exactly what happened. The Nets finished the season 48-20, just like how I expected. And the Lakers also finished the season 42-30, like I spoke about in that video. Now, the reason I said that the Lakers might finish 42-30 is because those pair of numbers, they have been used time and time again against black people to shame them in a negative way. Notice words like the N-word is 42-30 in gematria. Gematria is a Jewish practice, the practice of coding numbers into words. And time again, these same numbers are used to shame people of color. All the time. The N-word equals 42-30. The term slavery sums to 42-30. Names like Martin sums to 42-30. Names like Malcolm X sums to 42-30. And of course, names like LeBron James equal 42 in gematria. And notice Lakers is also 42 and LeBron is 30. Right? So they finished 42-30. And keep in mind, LeBron was born on the 30th day of the month, on December 30th. And December 30th was he was born on the day with 42 numerology, because December 30th is 12 plus 30, which is 42. So that's exactly what happened. The Lakers finished 42-30. And notice they picked up their 21st away win and their 42nd win for the season. Where's this slide at? Here it is. Lakers is 42-21. So on the day they picked up their 21st road win, they also picked up their 42nd win of the season. The gematria of Lakers. And they also covered the spread. They was favored by 8 points. They won by 11. The Brooklyn Nets also covered the spread. They was favored by 13.5. They won exactly by 14 points. And that's how you can tell this stuff is rigged. I mean, how does Vegas know to set the point spread at 14 and then they win by? No, they set the spread at 13.5 and then they win it by exactly 14. So all the people who took Cavaliers with the points, they lost by half a point. And this is what they do all the time. The reason Vegas sets the line at 13.5 is because they know what the outcome is going to be. They know that the Brooklyn Nets are going to win by 14. So they're hoping that everybody puts money down on the Cavaliers to at least cover the spread. And look, everybody who bet on the Cavaliers lost. Because they know how people think. The people are thinking like, oh, this is the last game of the season. The Nets are not going to play that hard. The Cavaliers have 13.5 points. They should cover the spread. No, that's not how this stuff works. These games are all rigged. They are all scripted. And Vegas, 99% of the time, or 100% of the time, knows the outcome of these games. They know who's going to win and what the final score is going to be. You know, this was one of the things I was scared about. I actually was rooting for the Nets to lose because I didn't want them to get to 48 wins. Because if they would have stayed on 46 or 47, it would have been much easier to determine who's going to win the championship. And like I was saying before I was rudely interrupted by the stream, and this year, I'm not gonna say who I think is going to win. Now, I am favoring the Brooklyn Nets. But I do understand that the Lakers have a strong narrative, and it's around LeBron James becoming 5 and 6 because he could do it in the Barclays Center, and Barclays Center equals 56, and LeBron James equals 66. So if he wins 3 championships in a row, he could conclude his career 6 and 6 in finals. So, and the NBA Finals this year also starts on the day with 56 in numerology. So for that reason, being that there's 2 strong narratives for both teams, I am not going to pick who's going to win the championship. What I have been saying all along is I think the best bet is to pick these two teams to win their conferences. I think that is the safer pick and the smarter bet. Now, me personally, I think that the 64s are a much scarier narrative than the Lakers narrative with the 56s, even though, that number has been the number in the last year and a half, 56. But I do fear the 64s. There's a lot of 64s involving the Brooklyn Nets, and this is why I didn't want them to get to 48 wins, but they did. So, but notice, and the Nets was the only team this year to finish the season with 48 wins. And notice the NBA Finals is 48 in gematria. Brooklyn, New York is also 223 to 48 prime. But this is the 64s that I'm talking about, right? Because in order for the Nets to win the championship, they need to win 16 playoff games. So if they do win the whole thing, they will finish the season with 64 wins, and Brooklyn Nets is 64. Notice James Harden, one of the star players for the Nets. His name sums to 64 in gematria. Also Blake Griffin, another player who joined the Nets this year. His name sums to 64 as well. So what a coincidence that these two players with the 64 connection happened to join the team the same year. The Brooklyn Nets, out of all teams. And then the team finishes with 48 wins, 48 plus 16 and 64. There's a lot of 64s, and this has me nervous for those of you who are backing the Lakers up. I'm telling you, if you want to put money on the Lakers, go right ahead. I don't think that's a smart bet. I also don't think it's a smart bet to put money on the Brooklyn Nets because, like I said, there's also a narrative for the Lakers to win. So why risk it? I think the safer pick, because I guarantee you the Nets are going to play the Lakers this year. That is a guarantee. So why wouldn't you put your money down on the guarantee bets? Those of you who like to gamble, then go ahead. Gamble on one of these two teams. But 64, James Harden, 64, Blake Griffin, 64, NBA is also 64. And I also learned that Kevin Durant was also born on a day with 64 in numerology. He was born September 29th, 1988. So that's a lot of 64s. And a lot of you keep talking about the movie Space Jam that is coming out, and that's why you think LeBron is going to win. I mean, I don't know why you think that Space Jam releasing this year is not a indication who's going to win the championship. But the movie's coming out on July 16th, 2021. That's the day with 64 numerology as well. And also names like Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis also has the 64 in his name. He was born on 3/11, on March 11th, 3/11, the 64th prime. So I'm thinking, maybe something can happen to Anthony Davis in the playoffs, which disables him from continuing to play. And maybe that's why the Nets pick up their 64th win. Who knows? But I just want to point out that Anthony Davis does have the 64 in his name. And, of course, King Von, who put out an album, the rapper, put out an album on November 6th, right before the 75th NBA season began. He died right before the 75th NBA season. His album came out on March 6th of last year. And his album was called LeBron James, which is a clear indication that his album was dedicated to LeBron James. And he died, like I said, November 6th. That was the 311th day of the year. 311, the 64th prime. And keep in mind, if you listen to King Von, he is Mr. 64. He is from 64th Street. He supposedly got killed near 64th Street in Chicago. He was born Davon Bennett, a name that sums to 64. So, and then he died right before the 75th NBA season. And I think his full name also sums to 75, like how he died. He actually died 47 days before the start of the season, like how LeBron could fall to 4-7. But Davon Bennett, let me just look up what is his full name. Davon Daquan Bennett. Just in case his live stream ends again, I'm going to start over and this stuff has to go out there. So his full name is Davon Daquan Bennett. His name sums to 75. He died 47 days, actually 46 days, but if you include the end date, he died 47 days before the start of the 75th NBA season. And his full name is 75 in the most pure cipher. So looks like his death was not connected to the 74th NBA season, but instead the 75th, Mr. 64. And it makes sense because of all the other 64s that I'm showing you here. So it makes sense that he was a tribute to this NBA season. Jackie Robinson is also 64, and I think that's what the theme is going to be this playoffs. It's going to be a dedication to a tribute to Jackie Robinson, and especially with the Lakers finishing with 42 wins for the season. That's the number that Jackie wore as a player. We've seen a lot of tributes with Jackie Robinson. Remember the Dodgers last year? They won 4-2 over Tampa Bay. And just think about it, Brooklyn versus LA. Like how Jackie Robinson played for the Brooklyn Dodgers, and then they moved to they turned into the Los Angeles Dodgers, right? So Brooklyn versus LA. I think the connection with Jackie Robinson is pretty obvious. I seen this LeBron James post on Instagram. He had this jersey on with the number 72 in the back. And think about how this year they had a 72-game season. And notice whose name sums to 72 in gematria. Kevin Durant. His full name equals 72. Just like James Harden's full name. James Harden's full name is James Edward Harden. His full name is also 72. So both Kevin Durant and James Harden have the 72 in their name. And then LeBron has his jersey on with the 72. And this is the first season that the NBA has a 72-game schedule. So there's another indication of another connection to the Mr. Durant. Remember the All-Star game? I spoke about this. The target score this year was set to 170. And Brooklyn Nets is 170. Brooklyn Nets is 170. So, and then the rapper Joey Badass with his Brooklyn Nets jersey with the number 47 in it. I mean, LeBron loses, he becomes 4-7. So that's the other narrative. He could become 5-6, but he could also fall to 4-7. And this rapper Joey Badass, he was born January 20th, right? Inauguration day, 20/1, like 201. From his birthday to the start of the NBA Finals is 169 days. His stage name is equals 169. And if you include the end date, from his birthday to the finals, he'll be on his 170th day of his age. That 170 again, like Brooklyn Nets. So notice the gematria of Brooklyn Nets is 170, like how the target score for the NBA All-Star game was set at 170. Joey Badass will be on his 170th day of his age, the guy who's wearing the number 47 jersey. Supposedly, he says that he's the reason Kevin Durant joined the Brooklyn Nets. He's responsible for that signing, supposedly. That's what this whole article was about. Sure he was. Notice Brooklyn Nets is also 53, right? The season ended 53 days before the finals. Brooklyn Nets is also 154 like King James. And again, that's 64. If they win the championship this year, they end the year with 64 wins. So there's a lot of things that can go right for the Brooklyn Nets. Don't think that the 56 is the only narrative on the table. It's not. There's another narrative out there. But I think, I think the safer thing to do is take the teams to win their conferences. Because just like how the 64s could play, the 56s could play. Because the finals does start on the day with 56 numerology. And then we all know about the 56 NBA season, where it was the Brooklyn Nets versus the Lakers. LeBron becomes 5-6. If he becomes 5-6, then he'll definitely become 6-6. So it'll be much easier to know who's going to win next year. But this year is a little bit tough. I'm not gonna have the tunnel vision that I've had in the past, where I just think that there's no other narrative that can play. It's only this, only this. No, you got to learn from our mistakes. We know how this. We can't let these people keep tricking us. We are too ahead of the game right now. It's time to get smarter, not remain the same. For another 42, LeBron James and Anthony Davis, they was born 42 weeks apart from each other. From March 11th to December 30th is 42 weeks apart. And the name Jackie's 42. I really think that's going to be the theme this year. It's all about Jackie Robinson. But again, the 64. Oh man, I don't know how anybody can ignore this. I know a lot of you say, no, that's not going to play. Like you know something that I don't know. King Von's LeBron James album. Okay, I don't know. I think I spoke about this before. I want to show you guys the cover of this album. This album was dedicated to his death, which is just sick. This is not actually this is the official cover. I'll show it. I'll show this one. Just get a bigger post, bigger picture. It's hard to find a bigger picture because I'm trying to show the scoreboard as well. Let's see, maybe this one. So hopefully you guys can see that. It's not the biggest one, but so if you look at the shot clock, there was supposed to be 64 hours left in the game. Right, that's 64 because the guy's supposed to be from 64th Street. That's the reason he claims the 64 was on the cover of his album. But he was wearing the jersey with the number 64 in the back. If you notice the scoreboard, it's filled with bullet holes. Remember, he got shot on the 311th day of the year, the 64th round. Supposedly, the home team had 24 points and the away team had 6, like 246. From March 6th, the day that he put this album out, to the day that he was killed, it was a span of 246 days. Like how the score was 24-6. And then he gets killed on the 311th day of the year, the 64th prime, and there was 64 hours left in the game right here. And there was a whole bunch of bullet wounds. So if you look at this cover, they were showing you guys his death date. But I think there's something deeper with this, right? This is also connected to LeBron James. I mean, just look at what he's doing with his hands. He's doing the LeBron James ritual, throwing the powder up at the sky before the game starts, right? And then he has the big 64 on his back. I think the 64 is pointed at the fact that Mr. Kevin Durant and James Harden and company are going to win 64 games this year. I think that's what this whole 64 is about. Besides him dying on the 311th day of the year, obviously. But yeah, so that's something that I don't know if I ever spoke about. And then he has his Dodgers hat on, Jackie Robinson, because the name Jackie Robinson equals 64. So, and there's probably a lot more things that I'm not pointing out, but you know, as I find more things, I'll definitely come back and talk about it. So, but the Nets did get to 48, just like we said. And the Lakers did finish 42-30, like we said. Now, the only thing I missed this whole week was the fact that I thought the Knicks was going to finish 39-33 because New York is 39-33. I'm really surprised the Knicks didn't finish 39-33 for the season. But, hey, whatever. We got 2 out of 3 correct. So, I'm actually going to take some calls, see what you guys want to talk about. I'm going to put the number on the screen. So the number is 646-986-0958. If there's anything that I'm missing that you guys want to point out, please call in and let's talk about it. But yeah, so the name Anthony Davis is also 64. So I'm just curious to know what's going to happen with Mr. Anthony Davis these playoffs because he has been injured all year. But I'm rooting for you because I know a lot of you have futures on the Lakers. I'm rooting that the Nets do lose and don't go to the finals. I hope that happens. Yeah, exactly. 64 viewers. It's like that all the time. I mean, you guys notice whatever number I'm talking about, like this video, it'll be stuck on 311 views. Right, that's the 64 frame. I mean, it's like that all the time with all my videos. I mean, I actually took screenshots of this. You guys remember when I was talking about the number 218 with that football player who was drafted? He was the 218th pick, and his brother died 218 days after his birthday. That was actually recently that I put out that video. That video that I put out was stuck on 218 views for like 7 hours. And I'm like, man, nobody's watching my stuff. I started sharing it on Facebook, and I'm like, this stuff is not changing. And now I know why. It's because the algorithms, whatever number I'm talking about, that's what the video will be stuck on. So where's that post? So look at it right here. So this is the guy here. I forgot his name. Let me just look it up. So Sam Ellinger, his brother Jake Ellinger, supposedly was found dead at the age of 20. And what I was talking about in this video was how the fact that his brother died 218 days after his birthday, and he was the 218th pick in the NFL draft just a week before his brother's death. And then that video that I put out that day, it was just stuck on 218 views. Like, it streamed 2 hours ago, and it was stuck from that point to it was 4 hours after that. It was still stuck on 218 views. So they do this all the time. I mean, these views are not accurate. So if you're watching a video and you're going by what the views saying, that shouldn't ever be the reason. Look, 64 viewers. If you want to watch a video, do not look at the views, because that's gonna discourage a lot of you. A lot of you say, "Oh, look, this video doesn't have a lot of views, I'm not gonna watch it." No, just know that these views are not even real. It's not realistic. None of this stuff. It's all fake. Somebody says they're gonna bet on both teams. No, that's not the thing to do. That's not the way to make money. The way to make money is to pick the Lakers to win the Western Conference and picking the Nets to win the Eastern Conference. Because right now you can still make money on them because they are still at plus money. The playoffs have not began yet. I'll show you. And you could parlay both. You could parlay who's going to win the West and who's going to win the East. That's a good bet. I'm just saying there's a lot of other things that you guys can do instead of picking who's going to win the championship. You guys got to escape the matrix. Who cares who's going to win the championship? Notice, look, this 2-team parlay, right? Actually, no, that's not what I want. Let's see, team futures. So here it is. So if I take the Brooklyn Nets to win the East and I take the Lakers to win the West, and I put $1,000 on that parlay, I win almost $6,000. Isn't that a smarter bet? Because that's almost a guaranteed victory that you're gonna win this. That's almost guaranteed. Instead of you saying, "Oh no, I'm gonna pick the Lakers to win the championship," I mean, all you're doing is, what's the odds of the Lakers at plus 500? And that's very risky. Is Vegas gonna pay out all that money? So yeah, you put 1,000, you win 5. I mean, you don't even win. You win more doing it with how I'm telling you to do it. Because if you take the same $1,000 and you put it just on the Lakers to win the championship, you only win 5,000. But if you take the Lakers to win the West and you parlay that with the Brooklyn Nets to win the East, you win 6,000. So you actually make more money doing what I'm telling you to do. You win a lot less if you take the Nets to win the championship. So, if nobody wants to call in, I think we can end it there. Also, we also had the Padres today. Let me show you guys what they did with the Padres. We had a 3-team parlay on Patreon today. So the San Diego Padres manager, Jace Tingler, he came into this game with 60 career victories. He picked up his 61st career victory versus the St. Louis Cardinals. St. Louis Cardinals equals 61. He picked up his 61st career victory today. The Cardinals lost 3-5 versus the Padres. And this was a very good game because the line was actually at negative 120 when the game started. And the Cardinals actually scored first. They scored 2 runs in the first inning. So you could have caught the Padres at a good price at plus 250, I think it was at one point. So this was a good money maker here as well. So again, I think that the thing is about all this stuff is to make money. I mean, a lot of you like to pick. You guys want to know who's going to win the championship, who's going to win the Super Bowl. None of that stuff matters. It's all rigged. It's all a scam. If you guys want to make money, and that's a different story. I'm trying to show you how to make money. Just worrying about who's going to win the championship is not the way to make money. You just saw it for yourself. You put $1,000 in the Lakers, you only win 5,000. You do what I'm telling you to do, you win more. Thanks a lot, Ron. I appreciate that. Yeah, the point is to escape the matrix. To worrying about who's gonna win the championship. None of us should be worrying about that. Who cares? But I think I'm gonna leave it there. If this doesn't wake people up, I mean, we called the Lakers' final their record way before. There was like 4 games left in the season for them, and we said, look, they're gonna win the next games and finish 42-30, and that's exactly what happened. The video is still on my channel. For all of you that leave comments saying that this stuff is just not true, look at the video right here. Look at it. You can even see in a screenshot how, look, 42-30, 42-30. Oh, actually, it was actually 3 games left in the season. I put this video out 4 days ago. And that's exactly what happened. They finished 42-30. Yeah, I'm talking about the 64s in Brooklyn. And how they was going to end the season with 48 wins. So shout out to 57 Caliber. He said you made some cash today. Appreciate that. Yeah, this guy CC, he keeps asking me when is Drake gonna die. I mean, why are you worrying about Drake? You see, this is what I'm saying. You're worrying about these celebrities. Like, why do you care when he's gonna die? Don't you have more important things in your life to worry about? You're worrying about when a rapper's gonna die. Who cares? When he dies, I'll make a video and I'll show you why he died on the day that he died. Why are you so anxious for him to die? Unbelievable. Somebody says the 76ers are going to go to the finals. Okay, good luck. Yeah, worrying about Drake. Yeah, Ronnie says that the Lakers can win the championship and get to 58 because Los Angeles Lakers 58. Nets is also 58. So that's what I'm saying. I don't care who's going to win the championship because you can. It's really a coin toss. So I'll leave it there. Shout out to everybody on Patreon. Thank you guys for the support. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Enjoy your week, everybody.